The court is in session and cause number 320716. The case is styled the state of Texas versus Darrell C. Woodside. We have Darrell Woodside appearing via Zoom. Mr. Woodside, would you please raise your right hand? Your other hand.
I'm sorry.
Would you, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Mr. Woodside, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Woodside?
I'm great. And yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Woodside, well, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Jack Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, how are you doing?
Just fine, Your Honor.
That's good. Mr. Lawrence, do you waive the record in Mr. Woodside's case?
We'll waive the record, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Woodside, I have before me a motion to revoke your probation. In this motion, it alleges that you, Darrell C. Woodside, in cause number 320716, was tried.
I'm money back twice and I'm spoiled.
That he was tried for the offense of assault, family violence, a misdemeanor, and that you were found guilty and your punishment was assessed at a term of 65 days confinement in the Jefferson County Jail and a fine of $1,000. However, that confinement portion was probated for a period of 2 years. On May 17th of 2019, the state filed a motion to revoke your probation. In this motion, there are 5 allegations. State, are you abandoning allegations 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Woodside, the state is abandoning allegations 2, 3, 4, and 5 in this motion to revoke your probation. That simply means that they will only be proceeding on allegation number 1. And allegation number 1 alleges that you, Darrell C. Woodside, failed to report to Jefferson County Probation Office as ordered by the court for the months of March, April of 2019, as ordered in violation of condition 4 of your probation order. Is that true or not true?
That's true, Your Honor.
Now, are you pleading true to allegation 1 freely and voluntarily?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
And are you pleading true to allegation number 1 because it is true?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Woodside, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor. I have a document that's titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. Mr. Woodside, do you understand? Well, first of all, in this document, Mr. Woodside, okay, let's see, Lawrence.
Yes,
I see in this document you have checked off Class A misdemeanor. On that, I'm gonna make the correction because you have 2 boxes is checked. You have the MTRP box checked and you have the Class A misdemeanor box checked. I think under here you're only supposed to check 1. Mr. Woodside, do I have your permission to make the correction and erase the one that does not apply?
Yes, you do, Your Honor.
And Mr. Lawrence, do I have your permission as well?
yes, you do, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Now, Mr. Woodside, I have before me this document that's titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. On this document, there's 1 box that's checked because the other box, I changed that, I erased that. The 1 box that's checked is MTRP, which stands for Motion to Revoke Probation. On page 2 of the same document, there is 1 box that's checked it states MTRP true to allegations #1, and there's a set of initials DW on the line next to the box that's checked. Mr. Woodside, did you place your initials DW on this document?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And on the next page of the same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Did you sign this document?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And on the next document, which is titled trial court certification to defendant's right of appeal, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Did you sign this document?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And there are two boxes that's checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And the second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Woodside,
Yes, sir.
prior to signing and initialing these documents that I have just mentioned, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, they are, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Woodside, okay, state. I have before me state's exhibit #1. State, you like to offer state's 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, no objections. State's exhibit #1 will be admitted. Mr. Lawrence, you advised in counsel, Mr. Woodside, is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor, none at all.
Okay, Mr. Woodside, your attorney, Mr. Lawrence, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, you have, Your Honor.
Mr. Woodside, I will accept your plea of true to allegation #1. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty. To revoke your unadjudicated probation, to revoke your probation, and your probation is hereby revoked. Mr. Boyd, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
90 days county jail.
Okay, now, Mr. Okay. Okay. 90 days in the Jefferson County Jail. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Woodside,
Yes, sir.
the state is offering that you serve 90 days in the Jefferson County Jail. Now,
Yes, sir.
you will be given credit for any time that you are entitled to get by law. The court cost in this case, Mr. Woodside, is $117. Mr. Woodside, will you be able to pay the $117?
No, Your Honor, I won't be.
Okay, now, Mr. Woodside, I have before me an affidavit of indigence that was signed. Actually, this is a, hold on a minute. I got a couple of them. Let me get the latest one. Yeah, I see that. Okay, Mr. Woodside, I have an affidavit of indigence that was reportedly signed by you on November the 30th of 2021. And in this, well, he said no. Okay. Now, Mr. Woodside, I need to ask you, so I'm looking at this affidavit, most recent one, as Judge Mickey Sheffield said you didn't meet the eligibility requirements for the appointment of that you didn't meet the eligibility requirement. But I see here, there is some information on this document that relates to your income. Now, Mr. Woodside, are you employed?
I'm sorry, sir.
Are you employed? Or are you still employed? Or are you not employed?
I'm not employed, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're not employed and you have no source of income?
No source of income whatsoever, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, and I see here, when you did sign this affidavit of indigence, you stated that you had monthly expenses in the amount of $1,000. Is that still the same?
No, sir. I'm taking care of my mom at another address. So as I don't have any income, I'm relying on what's coming into that household.
So you have no income and no expenses, that's what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
He also has no transportation, Your Honor. This is why he could not do the community services. He has no transportation, no income. For a time, he had a very part-time job for just a few days, but he hadn't had that in a long time. He did not have any job when he was first sentenced, and he paid about $150 on his probation, and that was the most he could do. It was just completely beyond his reach. And now that they brought his mother home from the nursing home, she has had a stroke. So, and he's the one who's been taking care of her. So this is a difficult time for him.
Well, I understand. I think Mr. Woodside, now Mr. Woodside, I'm looking back at, I'm looking at this affidavit of indigency. And so I noticed on one of them you had, you stated that you was getting SNAP. You still getting SNAP?
Yes, food stamps. Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I think probably you didn't check that off on this last affidavit of indigence
Right.
that Judge Sheffield reviewed. If that would have been checked off, you're automatic qualified. What that basically means, Mr. Woodside, is that you meet the eligibility requirements, and so you have been determined to be indigent, and because based upon that finding of your indigence, the court is going to waive the community service. It's going to waive the court costs in this case, which means you don't have to pay the court costs pursuant to Article 42.15 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. And so, Mr. Woodside, do you understand the state's offer of 90 days and the court costs being waived?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And do you think that is fair and just?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And do you accept it?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Woodside, the court is going to follow the plea bargain agreement that you've entered into with the state. And as stated earlier, Mr. Woodside, you'll be given credit for any time in this case that you're entitled to get by law. This will conclude your case. You've followed a bailiff and you have a blessed day. And Mr.
Okay.
Lawrence, I think this is your only case. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Lawrence, you're free to go and you have a blessed day as well.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay.